Hi guys, welcome. Oh my gosh, you guys, Justin said go live and I was like, oh my God, I've been sick. My nose is all red. I didn't even look in the mirror. I was like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And then I ran to the bathroom and let me put my, it's on. I looked in the mirror and was like, oh my God, I didn't like do anything to myself. Look at me. I look crazy. Thank you guys for joining me. You guys are amazing. I can't believe anybody just joined right now. Let's see. Oh my God, I have a new member. Zeb, stop. Thank you. You guys, I'm so not used to this YouTube stuff yet. And like, I cry sometimes when I get like new members and stuff. I get so excited. I am so appreciative. You have no idea. I did not grow up privileged. So I'm like, I mean, I was privileged. I had like loving family and friends and stuff, but I grew up in like inner city Philadelphia. It was fun. It made me who I am. Thank you, Deborah. I am so appreciative. You have no idea. Thank you for supporting me. If everybody could just hit like and something like that, that would be amazing too. Like and subscribe. I would love that as well. So you guys, since I really didn't know that I was going to go live tonight, I don't have a ton planned, but let me see what I do have. And we can look, what are you guys into? So tell me the cases that you're into. I know that we just talked about JonBenet Ramsey. That was a case, right? So what I have, I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were just on Justin's live, I said that I started to put stuff together for a video for this case. So I, believe it or not, already have some like notes done. I don't have a PowerPoint done yet, but that will only take a minute. So next live, we'll definitely have that. But anybody that's joined me live knows that I love to come with my PowerPoint slides. But anyway, I'll make sure I do that for next live. But I do have notes here. So JonBenet was 6 years old. She was a beautiful beauty queen who's unaliving on December 26, 1996 in Boulder, Colorado, became one of the most scrutinized and unresolved criminal investigations in United States history. The case is a masterclass in investigative complexity, media distortion, and what happens when evidence, narrative, and human behavior collide. And that's what I'm here for. So if you guys are down with bringing the psychology aspect to true crime, please hit subscribe so that you always get notifications when I put out a new video or go live. So that would be amazing. So what happened? Ready? So here are some of the uncontested facts. So JonBenet was found deceased in the basement of the family home. So these are like the things that nobody argues about. We all, everybody agrees on these things. The cause of death was asphyxiation by strangulation with evidence of blunt force trauma to the head. A 3-page ransom note that Justin read for us on the other live. And I don't know if you guys were there, but he literally reads it for like so long that I got an entire load of laundry done. So that could just like, it says 3 pages. That doesn't, I don't know, maybe that does sound long, but if you think about it for a ransom note, that is like a book. So that's crazy. And then no definitive suspect has ever been charged. So that's another thing that everybody agrees upon. So why the case still matters, obviously, for obvious reasons. There needs to be justice for JonBenet. And, if, let's say, for example, the family doesn't have anything to do with it, for example, then I think that it is time for somebody, whoever it is, to be held for justice to be held for JonBenet. So I think that that's important. And whoever is responsible needs to be held accountable. So every explanation solves some piece of the puzzle, but then it winds up breaking other pieces. So we think that we have the puzzle together, and just when we think we have certain pieces together, we get a new piece of evidence or a new interview or something new over the years, and it'll be something small. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's been a couple like 2020 type episodes done. I don't know if it's 2020, but I mean those type like 60-minute type things on mainstream TV over the years, where the one they had all of the famous, like they had, what was his name? Was it the Asian Oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Is it Doctor? Is his first name Lee? I don't know. But anyway, I'll have to find that out. That's something I'll have for the next one. If somebody knows, let me know in chat. But do you guys remember that they had all of the different people on and they were trying to get all the experts together to go through the evidence that they had? And I believe at the time they wound up, they found that there was like DNA on different parts of the clothing, but I thought that they said that could have been from packaging. I don't remember, but not that I don't remember, that's what I remember. I don't know if anybody else remembers anything different. What the heck is happening? Oh my gosh, Laura, you guys, I totally forgot to do this. I was like so excited. Hold on. And then we got to get the other one to bed. Thank you. You have no idea how much this means to me, for real. Like, I'm speechless when this happens. You guys have no idea. I'm like so very humble and appreciative. I appreciate you so much. Okay. So yes, Dr. Lee, I was right. Oh my God, I think his name was Lee. That's so funny. Hi, the one true Whitney. Welcome in. Hi, Beth. Welcome in. Pixie's here. Laura's here. Oh my gosh. Truth's here. There's my girl. Top Mom's here. I'm just kidding. Cuff You, of course, is here. I love you, Cuff You, and I love you, Truth. Thank you guys for being here. Linda, thank you for being here. Deborah, of course. Thank you. Kim. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't even. Thank you. Thank you for coming over here. I really do appreciate it. You have no idea. So let me continue, and then maybe we'll see if there's something that we can look at real quick. So Truth, this was very last minute. We were over at Clutch and Pearls Live, and at the end, I was like, well, I'm still awake. And he was like, you should go live. And I was like, okay. So I just came live. So I'm not exactly prepared, but I'm not exactly unprepared because I am a professor and I always can profess. I just need a topic. So one of the things, I don't know if anybody came over here. Hi, Mayor. I don't know if anybody came over here or if anybody in here. I want you to tell me in chat if you have been part of a pageant or a sport where perfectionism was important. So let me know. You don't have to share if that makes you feel uncomfortable, but I mean, if you're comfortable sharing, let us know in chat, because a few people over there were saying that they specifically did the pageantry thing, and Cuff You was a cheerleader, and I was a competitive cheerleader as well. And there is a whole lot. I can't stop it. What's happening right now? Kim, you guys, I'm literally going to cry. What is happening? Kim, what? Oh my God, thank you. I'm like dead right now. You've been part of school pageants. You have the one true Whitney. So thank you, Kim. The one true Whitney. Let us know. So did you feel that? Now, let me say, so sorority pageants would mean that you were a little bit older. So that I would say that that's the age where perfectionism winds up, like in the middle school, high school years. That is an age where our bodies start to change and things like that. So I wonder if you dealt with any of the things that I remember. I had to be perfect for every little thing. So I would practice for competitive, like I would practice over and over and over and over. And I was like such a perfectionist. I was like the captain of the cheerleading squad. Like I just, everything had to be like, and I have to be honest with you, sometimes I still catch myself and I'm like, girl, you need to stop, because I have two daughters. They're 22 and the other one's about to be 18. And I can't, you know what I mean? Like they look at me as they look up to me. So one of the things that they did get from me that I'm not sure yet if it's good or bad is I kind of am a workaholic. Anybody that knows me knows that like working is my favorite pastime. So my daughters also, like my one daughter's just graduated college and she's already in grad school again. Like the other one, she has like all advanced classes. She has a 4.5 GPA, which is just ridiculous. So but they overwork themselves. So I'm wondering if any of you did have that perfectionism in cheer or in pageantry or anything else. There could be somebody here that was a wrestler coming in, you know what I mean? So anything. Gymnastics is a big one where there's perfectionism, and even things like about body. So even about body. So, and this literally covers, and if you were on any, even if you weren't on an athletic team, you could have been in like play and chorus and stuff, like just anything, just being a human being during those years, your teenage years, is tough, especially when your body's changing as a female and, things get confusing. So what else do we have here? It was also in the South. So colorism was a part of it. The darker the skin, oh yes, they had a rough time. You're right. And that's so true. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because even amongst people of color, that also was something that people had, to deal with. Thank you for bringing that up. Do you guys feel that, that the body things, or whether it turns into body dysmorphia for some people, or anxiety, or just like over what's the word I'm looking for? Conscious maybe of certain body parts because of it. And if you are, you're not alone, clearly. And it takes many years of counseling sometimes to get through that. But the good news is there is another side. Your grandma would buy you bleach face cream to lighten your face. Shut up, Whitney. What? Did that, like, okay, forget like what that does to you physically, as far as like what I'm assuming, like your skin probably burned and stuff, or I don't know what happens, but forget that. What about psychologically, right? Because that just tells you, hi, Tisa, that just tells you too, right, that Whitney, you get the message that I'm not good enough the way that I am. And I think that that's what falls at the bottom of perfectionism, is learning that in a world where you could be anything, just being yourself is all you need to be. So, hi, Birdie. So thank you for sharing that. That must have been really hard, and it's brave for you to share it with others. So I do appreciate that. For those of you who are just coming in, oh wait, Whitney, you had to have an S-shaped body, big chest, small waist, and a good butt. For me, I never felt perfect. The goal was always moved. Yes, the goal posts are always being moved. That's absolutely right, because you get to one goal that somebody else usually sets for you, and then there's just a new one waiting for you. So I absolutely agree with that. My sister was in our country's national team. The perfectionism and competitiveness was extreme. Pixie, where was this at? It was a bit of, wait, why am I not putting that up there for everyone to see? Sorry. It was a bit of jock too, to be honest. However, not to national level and different sport. It doesn't matter what level it's on, to be honest with you. That's why I said, even if you weren't on like a sports team, you still could have, felt this. And a big part of it is just society and what we put on beauty and stuff like that. And that goes right back into Patsy and John Bonet and stuff like that. Truth, what's effed up? What I miss? Oh, about maybe the F-shaped body. Oh no, about what Whitney was saying. Oh my God, straight A stupid. I hated my body. Hi, Beth, and hated myself. I stopped eating. So, Beth, it's not funny. It's ironic that you say that, because what does this usually lead to? Eating disorders. So thank you for sharing that, Beth. I had an eating disorder for years. The good news is I clearly beat it. And that's a little joke that I laugh at myself for, but it's not a joke when you're going through it. And an eating disorder is a terrible thing, but I feel like going through it lets me help other people on the other side and lets people know that you could get through it. So from growing up on Mormonism, really, Seven Son, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Cuff you too? Oh my gosh, anorexic with big boobs, it sucks. And having big boobs when you're younger too, it's like a distraction to other people, which then makes, the person that people are looking at feel like people are looking at me. Yes, Truth, I think all skin tones are gorgeous too. Oh, you guys. Well, the good news is we're all amazing women, most of us here, that are all here right now supporting each other. And that just goes to show that if you could just remember that there's tomorrow and that tomorrow is a different day than today, and that with time things do get better, then I think you get to see that you could eventually end up somewhere where you have, 25 other people supporting you that maybe some of which you've never met before. So I think that's pretty amazing. So New Zealand, oh my gosh, we are English, but she was born in New Zealand. Well, wait, where are you guys coming in from? I love when I ask that because I never know where people are coming from. I think I assume that everybody's in like Pennsylvania. I know that you're not. Many of you are from the South, I know. And I don't know if it's too soon, but most of my members are lesbians. The lesbians love me. I don't know what it is. I'm not mad at it. I'm all for it. It's just a thing in our group, at least a thing that I notice. I'm all about it though. Cuffew says, I will say I have never thought John and Patsy were guilty. So it's funny that you say that. Did anyone see Ashley Banfield? She did the interview with John Ramsey. I think it was like last night or the night before on Banfield. I could look it up and we could look at it real quick. But I think it's because it's December, so it's that time of year because this happened on Christmas, which is terrible. Imagine that for the rest of your life. And this is my thing, Cuffew. Okay, like Justin, I too, every time my mind starts to go one way, I'm like, I'll talk myself, or like a piece of evidence will talk me out of that way and I'll go somewhere else, and then I'll look down that road and then something else. And I just go all over the place and I can't stay on one thing. However, I will say this. If you're involved, are you really going to go as hard as John Ramsey does for solving this case? Like, he goes to CrimeCon, like he stays in the media. He even did like a whole, mainstream media interview where he passes pretty much the baton to his son, his oldest son, and is like, here, I want you to take over this. Like, I don't want you to let it die with me type thing. And I was like, oh my gosh. So like, I just feel like, would you really be that aggressive about solving the case if you had something to do with it? And then I think of that ransom note and how it looks just like Patsy's writing. But then I talk myself out of it because I'm like, that woman, like her whole life was John Bonet, like a lot, like so much so that I could see maybe it interfering with her relationship with Burke, but I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows that. I need to deep dive that. So that's just me, questioning. So we have here Eastern Canada. Wow, I love Canada. Thank you for being here. I was a model and I had anorexia. This is Pixie. Hi, Pixie. However, my 27-year-old brother passing in my arms after a road accident when I was 18 started it due to grief. However, control and perfectionism came in. Thank you for sharing that, Pixie. You'll find here that of the people that are here, there are other people, believe it or not, that are able to relate with you in different ways. And thank you for sharing that. And what I tell everyone is that it takes a lot of courage to share, but once you share, you realize that you help someone else because it makes it easier for someone else. You guys, Thor is barking. I'll be right back. Those of you who know Thor know that he won't stop until I get him. Hold on, Thor. Okay, he should be good for the rest of the time now. He's probably going to come up and join us. He always does. Sorry about that. Okay, so, and again, thank you so much for sharing that, Pixie. That took a lot of courage. And then we have Australia. You guys, we have people over. New York. What's up, New York? Yeah, smash that like button. Let's see. Oh, Mary, you're straight and you adore me. That's amazing. Thank you. And Pixie's by. So there you go. Pixie, you are just joining the club. At least I made truth laugh. You're from Seattle. Wow. The man who admitted it, whose DNA was later found to be in the home. So wait, the one true Whitney. Did they find, are you talking about the neighbor that I was saying in the other live that I think is the one that's most suspicious? I don't remember his name. I need to look it up though. Let me see if I can look. Let me see. Let's ask. Who is the guy? Let's see. I'm asking very, very random. He was an SO, an offender. And he said that he did it. And here he had a friend from childhood. And he's the one that draws all the Gary Olivia. Gary Olivia, he's a convicted offender who lives in Boulder, Colorado, not far from the Ramsey home. He has a long history of offenses against children. He publicly confessed multiple times. In later years, he claimed he was in love with her, a statement that raises immediate paraphilic red flags. So that's a big one. Why his confession didn't stick. His confessions were inconsistent, it says. And it says that he could not provide crime scene details that only the offender would know. And it also says the DNA evidence did not match him. So law enforcement must have thought that this was like a fantasy-based thing, kind of like I think the John Mark Carr one was as well. Wow. So John Mark Carr was the other one. He falsely confesses, and he was never charged. I don't know if you guys remember, but he's the one that, he was like strange. I don't know if I should say it. That's not nice. And I don't mean that. I'm not like bashing him. It's just like, it's just strange that you would even want to say that you did this to someone. Like, to me, that's just strange or abnormal, let's say. But there, we remember him going through like the airports and stuff, and he was never charged. And then Bill McReynolds, I believe his name was, is that Santa guy, right? Who they thought did it too, the neighbor. But here they found him to be innocent as well, which was terrible because here he was like the local Santa. And I'm sure that interfered with his ability to be Santa, something that he probably enjoyed. Oh, that's funny. You're funny too. I'm so upset about Rob and Michelle Reiner. Oh my God, we should talk about that too, Birdie. OMG. Oh, the one true Whitney says, I'm straight, but I like you. I'm a lesbian now. Are you my lesbian awakening? I'm straight too, Whitney. I don't know what it is, but the lesbians love me, but it's good. I'm here for it, 100%. Oh, good. Well, look, now we have some straight people here too. I feel like we're balancing out here, you guys. For the daughter to find them, yes, and it be the brother. Oh my God, you guys, we need to talk about that. Seriously? So do you guys think, that is so sad. Do you guys think that the son, let's talk about that real quick, the Reiner case, because that is really sad and it's very, very new. And there's a lot of mental health that ties into that, like big time. Apparently, and again, this is all just allegedly from what I've heard so far, and please correct me if anybody heard anything different, but allegedly, oh yeah, Bertie, we were talking about familicide when this happened. OMG. And I don't know if you remember, Bertie, but towards the end of that, didn't we ask if it was still considered familicide if like a son or somebody does it to the parents? Wow, that's crazy. You're so right. We definitely did. Yes, John Mark Carr wasn't in the country. You have a lot of research already? Oh, that's nice. Oh, you're the one that asked the question, Bertie. Oh my God, that's crazy. He was in rehab in Michigan and was doing an interview a couple of years ago where he said he left rehab because he wanted to get back to his old life and go back to substance abuse. Whitney, didn't he say in that interview or something that, oh my gosh, didn't he say, yes, he said that. But didn't he say like he wanted to get back to his life? And then somebody said, but like, wasn't your life where you were using and stuff? And he's like, yeah, well, I guess I just want to get back to that. I do remember that. You guys, we need to look this up. This is like big time. And this is so sad. And from what I hear, or from what I heard, the mental health, and I don't know this, like I don't have access to his records, obviously, or anything like that. But from what the mainstream media has said so far, we heard that there's allegedly schizophrenia, substance abuse, and bipolar disorder. So together, we have a mood disorder and schizophrenia, which, I think the other big part, obviously, was that it was untreated. So that was the other big things that people said, that, not that it was untreated, I take that back. It wasn't that it was untreated. It was that he went off of his medications. So real quick, let's just talk about that for 1 second. When people go off their medications, it happens all the time. People often go off their medications, and it's because they'll start feeling okay. The thing is, we have some of the best medications in the world, in the United States, for these different disorders, like so good that you can live a relatively, semi-normal life if you find the right medication and you could stay on it. The problem is people stay on it and they start to feel like normal, if you will, again, so much so that they're like, oh, it must have just been like something I was going through, I'll be okay type thing. So with that being said, wait, I'm looking it up too. God forbid I do two things at once. Okay. So with that being said, people need to stay on medication. And especially if you're on like an antidepressant, just so you guys know, it takes 4 to 6 weeks for your brain to build new receptor sites to take in the new serotonin. So it doesn't even work for like 4 to 6 weeks. So by the time it starts kicking in, people don't think that it has anything to do with the medicine, because we usually don't go for medication until we really need it. So by the time we go get medication, we're really feeling down. Then we take the medication. In like 4 to 6 weeks, it starts to work. But for those 4 to 6 weeks, it feels like 4 to 6 years, right? And so by the time it starts working, you're like, well, that definitely wasn't the medicine, because that never kicked in for me, not realizing that it is the medicine. So I think we sometimes need to spread more psychoeducation so that people really do understand that it takes literally 4 to 6 weeks for your brain to even take in the new serotonin. Barbara's here. Barbara, now we're whole. Hi, Kelly. Hey, you guys, welcome in. Please hit like and subscribe. That's really helpful if you do that for me. And all right, so let's see what we see about Rob Reiner real quick right here. So let's see, which was this one? Oh, here they're asking them a question. Let's see.
Deep down, he trusted that we loved him and that we were there for him, and that put a little bit of a brake on certain things. I mean,
take notice of the son here. So now knowing that and again, this is just from what we've been told. And we'll look it up to see, but we know for a fact that he has substance abuse, that he talks about himself. But the alleged part would be the schizophrenia, from what we've been told, and bipolar disorder. I don't know if anybody heard anything different. I'll look it up right after, but let's finish this.
It's a desire to survive,
yeah.
And that put a little, and I think that's where we made the mistake, is that we didn't trust that he had that.
Did anybody notice how uncomfortable he looked there, you guys? And again, this is all for educational purposes, but look at this. Look at his face when the dad talks. It's almost as if the dad, like as if he doesn't have a voice. I'm already getting a lack of identity here. I don't even know why, but I'm wondering, wasn't the dad's dad like big or something too? So I bet you this kid, that probably put a lot on his shoulders as far as feeling like he had to fit these like big shoes. And imagine just trying to find an identity from your, like, as the son, let alone as a grandson, because it was like that was a challenge for his dad, and his dad was able to not only meet that but exceed it. So imagine now, it's like, how do you exceed what Rob Reiner is and does, but you don't. And the thing is that you don't have to, and that you shouldn't want your child, and I don't think he did, wanted him to succeed him in that way. He just we just want our kids to be happy, right? And to be doing something that they love, find something you're passionate about. But I want you to rewatch this, and I want you guys to this time just focus in on his face and how it almost uncomfortably feels like he's thinking in his head, like almost like he's not identifying with this. And I could be wrong. Tell me what you guys think.
Down, he trusted that we loved him and that we were there for him, and that put a little bit of a break on certain things. I mean, it's a desire to survive,
Yeah.
you know, and that put a little, and I think that's where we made the mistake, is that we didn't trust that he had that.
Okay, so I just talked about that pressure real quick before we go further. Wow, you guys. So he looks so sad, Linda. Hi, Linda. He looks so sad. And not only that, he does eventually, like he says, he trusted us, and we trusted that he wouldn't go further, but he does, which makes this that much more like, wow. So he was arrested and charged with the crime after his parents were found dead in their home. It's also alleged that the daughter not only finds him, but found the dad. And apparently she sees the dad, she realizes, something horrible happens, gets scared as anyone would, and runs out of the house and calls for the police. And it's not until the paramedics come, allegedly, that they tell her that the mom was also in there.
But I think I'm lucky in the sense that I have parents that care about me, and because of that, when I would go out and do things like drugs and stuff like that, I'd feel a tremendous amount of guilt, because I'd think, oh, they're thinking about me right now, they want me to do good.
There you go. That's exactly what I just said, right?
You don't seem very fired to me. You seem like you might just...
I get crazy.
That was like so telling right there. Oh my God. They tell you to do the tough love thing, but sometimes tough love thing ends in death 1,000%, Barb. And I think that they actually said he looks so ashamed and embarrassed. And imagine, so not only does he look ashamed, embarrassed, and depressed, Kelly, right? His dad is talking about, like, he's like that's got to be a lot of pressure. Like his dad saying, like, we know that you're not who like people think, like who they think you are, type thing. And that's just so much pressure. Wendy says, 100% Dr. Vona, I had an awful postnatal depression some years ago, and it took 6 weeks for me to even begin to feel slightly normal. Yep. 3 months later, I was back enjoying life and my gorgeous baby. That is such an amazing thing to hear. Thank God you went and told someone. You just want to hug him even now after what he's done. I hear you, because you feel bad for him here. The thing is, though, right, he does, but we don't know. Was he competent at the time? Like, did they say that he's going to plead insanity? What's going on with that? Oh, and she called his best friend Billy Crystal. That's right, Bertie. And he came right away, and he also saw the bodies. That's right. After he talked, he seems so much better, Kelly. I'm so glad that you noticed that. That's 100% true. Not only that, he seems like he starts to have power, but then he talks and he says something sad, right? He says that he feels guilty for doing that and for what he put his parents through. And I think they might have been talking there about that movie that they made together, Finding Charlie or something like that, where it wasn't built on his life per se, but he says that a lot of the stories within the movie were stories that he also lived, or experiences rather, that he also lived. So Okay, Bertie, he was competent enough to know he had to run to a hotel and wash up. So, Bertie, what I was going to ask is, do you guys think that after the party, I wonder what time the Conan O'Brien party ended, but do you think that he went and got the hotel room first? Because he gets the hotel room at 4 a.m. allegedly. So, and he said that he didn't have any cuts or anything like that they could see, nothing like that. So if there was blood all over the room, then that tells me that he probably goes to the hotel first, gets the room. And if that's the case, then it's going to be hard, in my opinion, to not prove premeditation. Why else are you going to the parents' house? I mean, I don't know what time he would have went. Some of these parents go through so much of this and nobody knows, and the families don't know what to do to help people they love. Barbara, you are so right. I think the thing is that what winds up happening, you guys, so let me explain this real quick when it comes to drug abuse and stuff like that. So here in this case specifically, apparently he started rehab at 15 and he's been in rehab dozens of times. I think they said like 15 or 16 times. And what winds up happening is we start to think like we start to accept the red flags where we didn't before. So we become desensitized, right, to the red flags. And we want to live a somewhat normal life as the family, right? So, and this is probably affecting the family a lot. So what winds up happening is you start to rationalize and deny a little bit, even subconsciously, just to live. So what winds up happening is you start to think to yourself, okay, well, this person is always doing the A, B, and C, but they never did, X, Y, and Z. So maybe I can deal with A, B, and C, but it's like a rationalizing red flags that you would never do so before. And it's like, why do we do that? I would say for survival purposes, because after a while you start to feel helpless. Like, I've tried everything I could possibly think of. Like, what else do I do? And unfortunately, for some people, they might get advice where they need to play hardball with that kid. And like you said, that could lead to disaster itself. So I think that every story is different. My cousin Adele, she's like my favorite cousin in the world. We were close our whole lives. She was addicted to heroin and she stops using heroin. She has 2 kids and then she relapses, but then she gets better again. But why she relapsed, she gets an infection in her arm and she was like septic and stuff. So, or sepsis, I said septic. Oh my gosh, you guys, Adele would be laughing right now if she just heard me. But she had sepsis and stuff. So she had an infection. She was in the hospital for months. And then eventually she goes home and she winds up dying at home. So, but here it all goes back to the drug thing. And for her mom played hardball. And I don't think that helped. I really don't. But I also don't know that enabling the behavior would have helped either. Hold on one second, you guys. Okay, I just had to talk Thor into coming over here. So yeah, so what winds up happening, you guys, is we start to rationalize these red flags and just so that we can live with them. And then these red flags, what we're not understanding is, especially somebody who has psychosis of some sort. So if it is true that he suffers from untreated, so not untreated, meaning he's never been treated, but as far as not taking medication, if he's not taking medication and he has bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, especially with schizophrenia, I would worry that he was having a fantasy of some sort. And that over time, this is the thing, you guys, I don't think that this comes out of the blue. And I hope that nobody's like, thinks that I'm being disrespectful or anything, because I'm not, because I don't know that I could have done anything different in the situation, nor do I envy anybody that's ever in this situation. It's one of the hardest, right? Or it is the hardest probably thing to deal with within the family. So other than the child dying, obviously. But often that is the ending in this scenario, and that sucks. And it winds up tearing apart the whole family. So, but here the thing is that because we normalize the red flags, we wind up checking out a little bit, as far like depersonalizing a little bit, just to live, just because we need to survive, because we have other children, or we have a job, and we have, you know, all these other responsibilities, right? And then when we do that, we disconnect from the person with the untreated mental illness. And if there's drug and alcohol or some substance on top of that, we now have somebody that's using, who's fantasizing, where we no longer are getting the memo. So it's like their fantasies are still there. The red flags are still there. We're just disconnecting from them because we don't know what else to do, and we don't feel like we have control. So then what is it? What's the right answer? I don't know that we really know. I mean, the thing is that you have to keep trying to get resources, but if you have other children, other responsibilities, you know, I feel like these parents said that they tried over and over and over. So to think that they could have done anything different, you know what I mean, would be crazy for me to think that. So I'm not saying that, but I am saying, do people, like, do you guys agree or understand that theory of how, and I don't know if any of you have ever dealt with somebody with addiction, and I don't know if you've ever started to normalize red flags for the sake of just having to live with that person. Maybe it was a sibling, maybe it was, you know, a lover of some sort, a parent, whatever the case may be. If you had to live in that same, you know, vicinity with that person, you had to learn how to live side by side with them. And if you were like a sibling and you didn't have a choice on whether they came and, you know, if they come and go, then that is a whole different layer of out of control, right? So let me see what you guys are saying. I'm just like lecturing, so I should just stop. All right, they said he checked in at 4 a.m. and he looked like he was tweaking. So this is, thank you for saying that, Birdie. So this is a question that I have for you guys. What I'm thinking when I hear that is, could it be that he got the room first? And could it be that he used after the party? So I'm thinking, and this is just me speculating, I know nothing about anything to say this, but just from human behavior, what I'm thinking is, apparently he gets into an argument with his dad at the party, and I think they said his mom jumps in to like try and stop it, which means that she gets involved too, right? So, and I believe the whole family was at this party. So the sister was there, the other brother, they went as a family. Apparently, he showed up in like a sweatshirt and stuff, and it was like a fancy Conan O'Brien yearly annual Christmas party type thing. So I'm sure that, you know, they must have felt uncomfortable just that he showed up in a sweatshirt type thing. Also, I want to show you guys other images of him where you see him more recently, and he looks very different than he does here, which just says to me that there's a change, right? So whether that be an escalation in something or a de-escalation, but it's clearly probably more of a feeling of being out of control, in my opinion. So let me see what she's are saying. He's closing with, oh yes, he did the Karen Reed one, the lawyer. Incredibly young for rehab. Yep, 15 years old. Oh, you guys are breaking up? Or I'm breaking up? Am I breaking up for everyone? It seems like it's fine on my end, but let me know. Thank you for going out and coming back in. You are so correct about what the interview was about. Yeah, Pixie, you think? Barbara says, I just want to hug you. I want to hug Barbara too. Cuff, you said that to Barbara rather. Oh my gosh. Alan Jackson is going to plead insanity. I don't know if he had a mental illness and a drug addiction also. You can't treat drug addiction and not mental illness. So, okay, so what Christy's saying is it's hard. You're right, right? How do you treat drug addiction and not treat mental illness at the same time? I'm sure that they did try, and I'm sure that he probably agreed to it at some point. You know what I mean? For like, he looks healthy in some of these interviews, but that doesn't mean that he was, obviously. So yeah, I don't know. So I guess we're going to find out a lot of these facts as well. I feel as the parents, they knew that something was wrong. They just didn't know how to help their son. That's right, Whitney. And I think that they did try so many different things. And unfortunately, he he kept relapsing. And I feel like until the person who's using is willing to get better, there's nothing you can do as far, like you can, obviously, you can keep trying to, you know, give them resources, let them know you love them and you're not judging them, things like that. But as far as wanting to get better, you can't make somebody want to get better. So, I mean, you could put out ultimatums and make it really nice where they live if they're nice and clean and they do these certain things. But then the alternative would be, as opposed to not being clean, and then that would mean what? Not living in the home. So I guess it goes both ways. Like it could be a double-edged sword. My daughter is mentally ill and a fentanyl addict. Kelly, I'm so sorry. I'm having a tough love with her right now. She refuses to admit she has a problem. It's heartbreaking. So Kelly, don't give up on your daughter, okay? See if she'll try Suboxone. So Suboxone is, I mean, I'm sure you know what it is, but it helps people get off of things like fentanyl and oxycodone and hydrocodone and stuff like that. And it's different than methadone in that you don't have the same, like with methadone, it's almost as if you're switching from one thing to another, which I guess you would say that if somebody can successfully switch to methadone, that is much better than taking an opiate. But Suboxone's even better. And this is the thing. I have so many friends that I swear would be alive today had they used Suboxone. From everybody that I've talked to that I heard of, I mean, I'm talking about people that have used, and some of my friends that have used fentanyl. I have a friend, Katie, who died on my brother's couch. She was renting, I've had too much, just like all of us have, right? Everybody unfortunately knows of somebody who this has touched. So in that case with the fentanyl, just see if she'll try Suboxone. Tell her, say, even if it's just for a day, in one day, people have been like, wow, why didn't I start this a year sooner? Because what happens is it's literally made to trick your brain into believing that you're on the opiate. So the person doesn't feel withdrawal because their brain, part of their brain is still getting the message that they're getting the drug. And that's the beauty of this particular product for people that are trying to get off of opiates. And what it does is, why it makes you feel like you're on the drug, and it treats your pain center as if you don't need more because you're on it. Think of it as having like cleaners that go in and like clean the receptor sites while that's happening. The difference with methadone is that the receptor sites still have they're still dirty after, but again, it's better than being on an opiate. But just see, maybe, you never know, maybe find a doctor that you could say, look, I found this doctor, or try to talk to somebody else in your neighborhood or someone. I'm sure there's somebody that you could find around there that maybe would talk to her and be like, look, like I also did da 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 da, or I was on heroin and I'm now on Suboxone and it's the best thing I ever did. And sometimes that could help. So and again, that helps more sometimes because you get somebody that they could talk to, that they know isn't just saying that they don't judge them, but knows that this person has been through the same thing. So therefore they probably have a lot of the same experiences, and that sometimes helps. I pray for you. I really do. And I hope that we have good news for you eventually. Also know, Kelly, that there's other women in the chat that can empathize with you. And unfortunately, there's also some that are part of the club that nobody ever wants to be a part of, that lost a child. So just know that you have a ton of support here. You guys, I get so passionate and emotional. I apologize. Just know that this is because I truly care. Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry about all your losses. Seeing my niece after she overdosed was a major eye-opener. She was not the person I once knew. It's heartbreaking. And then there's a whole group of people, you guys, that'll do a drug that'll turn a gene on for mental illness. So the mental illness might not have been present before. So we consider it drug-induced schizophrenia. For example, I have a cousin who has drug-induced schizophrenia. Him and his friends had a weekend. They went up and put money in to get an Airbnb type thing. It was like their first weekend of having fun without adults. I think they did mushrooms, I think it was, or paper hits, one of them. But they did LSD of some sort or psilocybin. And everybody at the party had a great time. They had a great weekend. Everybody still talks about it to this day, how much fun it was. But for my cousin, it turned on a gene for schizophrenia, and he's been suffering ever since. So when you hear things like drug-induced schizophrenia, that's what that means. Some people think that you do the drug and you have like this forever high, and I'm like, that's not really what happens. Thor, come here, buddy. You have to treat mental illness. Yes. Yep. Wait, I missed one. Hold on. Yes, I think he was a rage, and with his mental state, he probably thought his parents were, yes, yep, nobody would hold him accountable. I think the sister probably got scared running in there because she did tell the cops that she thinks that it was the brother. So I'm wondering, knowing that he lived in that back house, if she was worried that it might be him. I'm going to read your guys's things on the side, but I'll play it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't want to set me off.
Yeah. Were you ever worried that that Nick could shine poorly on your career or something like that?
No, that never crossed my mind. I mean, he's my son. I love him. It doesn't matter. That he's more important than anything that could happen to me.
Charlie, why don't you tell us what you want to thank God for?
Ooh.
6 months of sobriety. Nothing you want to
Yeah,
say?
this is the
I smell
Charlie.
like weed. No, I think I smell like weed.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's the Charlie movie that they made together. Being Charlie.
Most of the movie parallel to your life, or almost all of it?
No, we took from our lives, but it's a fiction. I mean, Nick can tell you because he went through all of this, and I think you took from a lot of different people, didn't you?
Yeah, from my own experiences and from also seeing other people going through it, and also the varying establishments that I was in, you really get a sense for that whole world. So it's not like copy and pasted, but it's definitely derivative of, reality. Sort of like a 4-year process. Like first we started out with this like slapsticky half-hour comedy pilot that was horrendous, bad jokes and everything. And he looked at it and was like, eh. And then
just felt
Okay, you guys, that was just a huge thing for me. Did you just hear that? He said first we started out with this pilot that it was a comedy type thing, whatever he just said. And he said, but Dad pretty much was like, eh.
He could go deeper. He could go deeper with it. I mean, it was funny, but I felt the subject matter, should allow him to go deeper with it.
Yeah, well, that wasn't said at the time. It was sort of just like, hey, this is trash. But anyways, we went.
So whatever Dad said, he heard this is trash. So I think that it's the lesson here is that it's important for us to watch our words because our kids hear something different sometimes, or a loved one or something different. And I'm sure the Dad didn't say that and probably didn't feel that, but that's what he heard.
Along, and 4 years went by, and then I met up with Matt for a bagel in New York City, and we were like, what about that old script that we were, maybe there was some good stuff in there. And we went in and we looked at one page and we were like, this is terrible. And then, I just sort of wrote a new pilot, then got around to him saying, would you like to make a movie out of this? And we were like, we don't know how to do that. And then we just tried to do it.
Was it cathartic in a way to revisit the journey?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we went through a lot. I mean, we didn't do it to be cathartic, but it turned out that that's what happened. I mean, it forced me to understand a lot more of what Nick was going through, and I think it forced him to see what I was going through. And
he just said it forced him to see what I was going through and not to see what we were going through as the family. And in my opinion, and we've talked, if you've ever been alive before with me, you might have heard me say this, but I really think, and this is a lot of pressure, but the most influential person in our life is usually our same-sex parent. Even in the absence of that same-sex parent, they still wind up being the most influential person in our lives because we wind up either doing things or not doing things in life based on our experience with or without that parent. With that being said, I already said that I felt from the beginning that this was an identity issue as well, and that identity was probably something that he struggled with. So to hear his dad say that to see what I was dealing with as opposed to the family, that had to hurt. No matter what he said, that had to hurt. But that had to hurt. And again, I don't think his dad meant for it to hurt. But you could see how the dad could maybe say this, and not just this dad, any dad, right? Anybody could say this. And one kid could interpret it one way, and another kid interprets it another way.
That brought us closer together. And during the process of working on the film, it took about a year just working on the script. The first draft they wrote was like 190 pages. They had thrown everything in that they had gone through.
Manifesto.
Yeah, and as we shaped it and changed it, the whole process brought us closer together because we started understanding each other a little bit better.
I'm not going to listen to you tell me what a drug addict I am.
Tough, Dan.
Careful, I'm one of your constituents now. You wouldn't want to lose the governor's race by one vote.
You can either head back to treatment or live on the streets. It's your choice.
I can't tell exactly what got.
Oh, wow. So they said that this wasn't their exact story, but that it was built on stories around stuff like this. And I know that the dad did say that he looked back on life and that he did have some regrets as far as that tough love. But for some people, that's what's needed. And for others, so I think it's just such a person-to-person thing.
Got me into them besides the fact that I thought they were really cool and I just wanted to do them. But I think I heard this question a lot, and I think the only answer I can give for wanting to tell a story like this is that it's even more powerful to tell it about someone who is going through this and they're given everything and they're in an opulent situation and they're still deciding to go to the drugs. And that's more powerful than some, in our opinion. It's the only story that we know. We don't know any other story besides that.
And I think, it cuts across socioeconomic boundaries. I mean, if you look what's going on now with the heroin epidemic around the country, it's invading white middle class suburban neighborhoods. So it doesn't really.
So we talk about true crime and about people that kill other people and stuff, and we sometimes don't look at the fact that our biggest killer is substances, right? So it's the thing that most people have lost somebody that they love to, and some of us, their own child. So thank you so much for sharing that stuff, Barbara. I love you so much. I can't even tell you. Barbara did say something earlier that I did want to mention. So Barbara was saying that some people can't afford the drug, and you're absolutely right. However, I would say this. We're at a point of such an epidemic in our country that a lot of these drug companies are willing to help people get the specific medication. So they'll give them I almost said comps, like we're at the casino. Did you just hear what I said? Like a coupon of some sort so that they can go get it for, $10, in some cases, no dollars. So I would say if anybody's listening, if you don't have insurance, there's even look at like GoodRx and stuff like that. There's other coupons, but if you call the actual go to the Suboxone website, or if you Google Suboxone clinic, there's usually something. This is the thing that I found with my research, is that there are so many resources out there that so many of us just never knew existed. And that's the big, issue where I come from. So let's see what else we have here. So she refuses Suboxone and is on methadone, but relapses. So this is the thing. If she's willing to try methadone, remind her that relapse is a part of recovery, and that as long as she keeps trying, that you'll keep supporting her, right? So, and supporting her meaning like emotionally and stuff like that. And I don't know if she lives with you, what that case is, and you don't have to share that with everybody here. You know what I mean? I'm not asking you to do that. So, but what I am saying is that see if you can somehow get her back to that place, or find somebody who is also on methadone that is, that's been good for a minute, so that maybe they can try and talk to her. And again, we're just going to pray for you, and we're going to hope that that she comes through this. The one that is so tough. My niece couldn't stop even while pregnant. Yep. And one of her kids will never live a life where she understands what you say to her. Her son has had 13 heart surgeries and is 15 years old. Thank you for sharing that with us. Cassie, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Cassie, I still want to talk to you about the perfectionism stuff with the pageant stuff and cheerleading and all the stuff we were talking about. So if anybody ever has anything that you want to tell me or whatever, my email is jaimevona@gmail.com, but Jaime spelled Jaime. So it's JAIMEVONA @gmail. Yeah, so your son, Barbara's son, was better sometimes, and then he would go back, and then he'd get better, and then he'd go back. It was heartbreaking to watch. And that's the thing, Barbara, right? So I bet you are able to empathize with the Reiners here in the fact that you did do everything that you could, and you loved him, right? And unfortunately, in the end, there was only so much that you could do yourself. And that has to be the worst feeling in the world. I don't, oh, my heart breaks. Oh, good. She's trying to get stable. I check on her, but I don't give her money. Perfect, Kelly. Perfect. If she's hungry, bring her food, right? Stuff like that. That's great. Truth has an amazing link right there. Oh my God, Truth. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Kelly, you should check this out. So it's called Sedation Detox. It's 4 days. It's for all opiates. You have no withdrawal, no cravings. It's like waking up from a nightmare. So they literally put you to sleep for 4 days because it takes about 4 days for the half-life even of the drug to leave your body. So they wind up putting you out. So it's almost like, would you call it a medically induced coma, Truth? And they wind up, they let it run through your body where you're not conscious. And then when you wake up, it's like, but Truth, this is the only thing I would say is what if somebody is also, like, I would say that for a lot of people, they might still need psychological support as well, because there is a psychological part as well. So I would think that that would help more with somebody that's dependent. It could help with addiction too, though. It really could. Oh, so Suboxone didn't work for Michael. Yes, that medicine does not work. My mom was on it while she was taking off her oxy after major surgery, and it didn't work for her. I wonder if they gave her enough. Okay, so I have a family member that's been on Suboxone for over a decade. Is it okay to be on it for life? So let me tell you something, Birdie. We just had this whole thing in New Jersey about this in like Camden, and we have doctors there who fought on Capitol Hill to change the laws to where any doctor can prescribe Suboxone now, where before you had to like go to a specialist type thing. So that was changed, and they also changed it from being a short-term medication to a long-term one. This is the thing. Suboxone is way better than the opiate, even if it means continuing to take that. Because again, remember, the person stops taking it. Let's say this person has not only become, this is the thing, if this person stopped taking the Suboxone, they might feel a little bit of withdrawal, but it would be nothing like what they'd be imagining from an opiate. However, like I was just saying, the Truth, there might be that mental or that psychological withdrawal. So my thing is, if this person really has in their head that the Suboxone is what keeps them sober, then 100% back it, 1,000%. Yep. And again, that would be like, so what if this person, what if we don't know now and we find out later that someone's life might end by an extra year or something from being on this? And I'm just making this up, you guys, but I'm saying, like, let's just say like you find out in years that, like, you know, people died earlier from taking that for the rest of their life. It's like, if they're living the years that they live sober, right, and productive members of society, then take me sooner type thing. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And that's Jaime Vona talking more than Dr. Vona, that last part. Yes, Barbara, so tough. So tough. But if it works for somebody, absolutely. You'll talk to her about it again. That's amazing. This is the thing, Kelly. See what you just said, though? This is the thing. You want her to think that when she's on methadone, that you think she's sober, because that's the only way she might get sober, right? If she thinks even a little bit that you think that being on methadone is another way to get high, and I don't know that she knows that, I'm just saying, if she even thinks that for a minute, that could be one of the reasons where it's like, okay, so what's the difference? Why don't I just get high on what it is that I want to get high from? So I would say this, like I just said earlier about the Suboxone, same thing with methadone. If you're on methadone and you could go to work and you can, you know, be a good mom, or you can be a good dad, or go to your kids' baseball games and be a good, you know, what a productive member of society, then methadone it is, right? Because you're not doing the things that you're doing when you're in active addiction when it comes to things like opiates. And this is, again, part of this is coming from my education and part of this is coming from experience from all the people I love. So I would say, talk to your daughter again and let her know. You could even, I always say, blame me, tell somebody that whatever, Thor, come here, buddy. But even say to your daughter, say, you know what, I'm going to look at this in a new light too. So if you think even for a minute that she even thinks that, even if you've never said it, I would reiterate to her that you think that methadone is clean. And again, because if you can get her on methadone for so long, and maybe she'll get to a point where she wants to do the mental health part as well, eventually she'll be able to come to that on her own, right? She'll be able to see after that maybe that is a substitute when she's stronger mentally, and then deal with that down the road. However, if it keeps her alive right now, it's absolutely, you think that that's sober in your eyes, if you want my opinion, and that you're willing to take it, you'll take it. As long as she's on methadone, you're good. And just letting her know that might alleviate pressure and guilt that she, or shame that she may be carrying. And that's just me, again, just from my education. I'm never, just so you guys know, even though my master's and my bachelor's and all that stuff is in counseling, legally, I'm never allowed to give like medical advice, like psychological advice. So that's why I'm saying that's from Jaime Vona, but that's also from Jaime Vona with her education. And Barbara, I wonder what you have to say about that. Right? Barbara, what would you say about that? Being a mom that also went through something similar. Would you, if your son was alive and he was able to stay on methadone, and like, would you give him that support that you think that is clean, because that would be better than being on the drug that he's on? Because again, you guys have to remember, when you're on methadone, you're on something that is FDA approved. I know this sounds ridiculous, right? It's still a drug, just like anything could be a drug. You know, your Xanax could be a drug too, right? So it's absolutely, but it's regulated. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a regulated drug, whereas the fentanyl that you're, or the what you think, what took one of my friend Katie, she thought she was buying a 30 milligram Oxycontin, and it wasn't that at all. It was a pill mill, so they made a pill that looked identical to it, but it wasn't that at all. It was all fentanyl, and she wasn't used to fentanyl, and she died within minutes. So, and there was like no coming back from it. It's so prevalent where I'm from that, including myself, I could go get it right now. I think I have two, one upstairs and one in my bag out in my car. What is it? Naloxone? Narcan. I have two Narcans because they literally like give it out around here because they want people to have it. And I'll never forget the first time like the pharmacist gave it to me. I was like, oh, I think you gave me somebody's like medicine. And he's like, no. It's like, we're giving it. And I'm like, oh, I was like, are you sure you meant to give this to me? And he's like, yeah. He's like, this is the thing. He's like, we're not going to, he's like, oh, well, they will. He's like, but it's not really for the people that are using the drug, because if they go out or not out, they can't give it to themselves. So it's more for the sober people around them to have it on them, so that if we see, and I don't know, did anybody see this last night? Oh my gosh, what's his name? Dave, is it Andy Dick? I don't want to say the wrong person, but did anybody see this last night? Famous actor, I want to say Andy Dick, but somebody tell me if I'm wrong, because I would never want to pass around a story that didn't happen. But it is a famous actor that I'm thinking of that this happened to, and they caught one of his friends saw him and said and called out his name, and he happened to have like his phone was running. His you saw the report. Oh, it's so sad. They literally, you see him like down and he's completely unresponsive, and I think it's Andy, right? Because I can hear the guy saying Andy, and this other guy winds up having Narcan, And he's like, give it to him. Like, what are you doing? Give it to him. And they gave him the Narcan, and apparently that's what saved his life. And I do Andy Dick. It is Andy. The video's out on YouTube. Hi, Army vet. How are you? Moonlight's here. Oh my gosh, you guys. I was so far behind. I'm going to go back and read every single comment later. I do all the time. And just so you guys know, if anybody ever writes any comments after the show, on any of my videos, I write back to everyone. There's not a comment I haven't responded to. So know that. The drugs were coming from Manhattan and being hidden inside a panel of cars and driven here. Oh, wow. Oh, you've given out Narcan? Barb, good for you. I think we need to make it. Yes, you carry it. Good, Linda. Oh, good. You never, ever know. And this is my thing. What's the word? Like, if even, let's say you say somebody's passed out and they're unresponsive. Some people are like, well, I don't know. How do I know whether to give it or not? My thing is this. They found that it's better to give it, because even if, like, there's Tranq right now. I don't know if you guys know what Tranq is. It's horse tranquilizer. Oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I have naloxone in my head. Oh my gosh, you guys, what's Tranq called? Xylazine. I couldn't get that out of my head, but I have such a good memory. I'm like, wait, you just have to think about it. Xylazine is what it's called. And it's a horse tranquilizer. It's not meant for human use, human consumption. But here in Kensington and Philadelphia, Kensington and Allegheny, they're not only using Tranq, but they're now mixing Tranq and fentanyl together. So what they're saying is, even if somebody's out of it from Tranq, giving them the Narcan helps with the fentanyl part. I'm like, wait, what? It's so bad here. You have no idea. It's so bad here that in Philadelphia, every single day, we have to power wash the playgrounds in Philadelphia. The neighborhood playgrounds get power washed daily because they're afraid that kids are going to touch the equipment that they're playing on and accidentally ingest a drug that they're not supposed to, clearly. Also, you guys want to hear something else with Tranq? You know how it's causing that open, it's like something dermatitis. It like eats away, or it's a flesh eating type thing, but it eats away from the inside out or the outside in. It eats away from the outside in. So it starts out with a little cut and then that gets infected. I know somebody that this happened to. I got a picture, you guys. I literally had to stop walking and sit down. I almost passed out. The person was in treatment for their infection, and they sent me a picture. It literally looked like they dumped their leg in ketchup and mustard. I can't even explain it. Picture like dripping ketchup and mustard. It was like pus and infection. And then on their chest, they had another section. And as it was getting better, it literally looked like thick, like mushrooms. Just like, it was like skin. Oh, I can't. I was like, oh my God. And the thing is that it's not, oh, you never heard of Tranq cuff you? Cuff you, look up Kensington and Allegheny. So Tranq is where we see the people leaning over. So the people that are on fentanyl, you'll see them nodding out often, or they're the ones that you'll see like laying, or the ones like Andy Dick. He looked like he was nodding out. The Tranq, we call it Zombieland at Kensington and Allegheny. My husband will be working and he'll send me like a video. He'll like zoom in and you just see people, they're bent in half at the waist, just hanging, like just bent over, just standing there all day. And he sent me one the other day and there was a baby carriage. I literally freaked out. He's like, relax, relax. There's not a baby in there. I was like, you checked? He's like, I did. He's like, I knew you were going to ask. I was like, oh my God, I hope you would have still checked. I'm going to go let Thor out.
Crosses all economic boundaries, and you know, difficulties that you have are not relegated to only people who are unprivileged. You know,
how bad did it get at home between the two of you?
It's reflected in the movie where the father character talks about how he didn't know what to do, so he listened to anybody who had a desk and a diploma to do exactly what you're talking about. But the truth of the matter is, you have to be who you are. And I made mistakes in that I didn't go with my gut instinct and the feel. And I know Nick better than, you know, some expert who's never met him. And I think had I listened to my own instincts, I would have done a lot better by Nick. But, you know, you do what you do. You're a parent and you think, here's my kid running out into the street, going to get hit by a truck, or you want to keep them safe. So you do what they tell you. You feel you're at their mercy. But what I feel after all of this is it's not about punishing. If somebody has, you know, is struggling and has difficulties, you don't punish them for that. And I think
look how much more comfortable his son looks in this interview than he did the other mom.
A lot of these programs feel like the kid is being punished, and I don't think that's a great way to go. I mean, how do you feel about it, Nick?
About what part
about what I was just saying about the idea of you know, the tough love and all of that stuff.
You know, I'm here, so it worked.
It was never about the drugs. All I ever wanted was...
So wait, that was interesting. I almost feel like he wasn't paying attention. Did you guys get that? Because he said about what? You saw him dissociate? You saw that, Whitney? I almost feel like he was dissociated there. And then the dad had to like tell him what he was just saying. He was zoning out. You're right. Did you guys see that? Wow, I didn't notice that till right now. I'm going to turn my camera off, but I'm here just for 1 second because my husband made chocolate chip cookies, and I want to finish eating this chocolate chip cookie because it's banging, and I just don't want to be chewing on the screen, but I'm still here. Okay.
A way to kill the noise.
Getting sober is a selfish thing. You got to help yourself first.
For everyone, it's different. For me, the noise was basically... you know, living in the family that I live in and catching heat for that sort of stuff. And also just...
For being a Reiner?
I guess. I mean, people would like to think that's a real bigger deal than it actually is. But it's really like, I was an emotional kid who had problems and I just was not so fond of myself. So I kind of, you know, had problems in that way. But in terms of the thing you were saying before...
But don't most kids have a problem like that where they are emotional and they don't feel like they fit in certain places? So, and he says that it didn't have anything to do with being a Reiner. I don't know if I believe that. I feel like there's an identity thing here.
Or it's like, I think that our relationship was not as it was portrayed in the film. Like there were this sort of like holding the line and being tough, but like we didn't ever argue like quite like that. I mean, we did, I guess, to a degree, but it was never...
He was fiery. You don't seem very fiery to me. You seem like you might just...
I get crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
You don't want to set me off.
Wow.
No, some big blow-ups there.
No, we're both...
Wow. Did you guys hear that? When people tell us about themselves, we should listen, right? But at least but look, it almost, oh, wow. Okay. And then the dad feels the need to say we're both like that.
We both can get pretty...
You don't roll easily either.
No, we can both get pretty hot. And there were times when we did get hot. But
you weren't like cold like that. He was very loving and compassionate. I just think that he didn't really know what to do.
Oh, wow.
What about mom?
Isn't that the truth?
I didn't go to either of them because neither of them believed a word I said, but it was sort of like comforting to talk to her because she was a little bit more in touch with her emotions and how she felt about it. And he was sort of trying to, you know, follow orders, I guess.
You went to, how many times did you go to rehab? You said,
okay, this is the picture. So look at him here. I wonder when this is. I guess if this was in 2016, this had to be a long time ago. I feel like somebody said this was a newer picture, but I guess it wasn't. So let's see what he says about it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But it had to come from you. So what was rock bottom?
There wasn't one. It's all rock bottom. It all sucked.
When did you, what made you finally make it not a 19th?
I got just sick of it. I mean, it's hard to believe that you wouldn't get sick after 5 of them, but I mean, after 18, I was like, okay, I'm pretty bored of this. It wasn't like I want to go back to rehab. I was like, I'm sick of this cycle, this using drugs, it being so temporary, the fix, then going back into a place for months on end, then getting out and just, you know, rinse, wash,
this being
repeat.
my life.
Yeah.
Do you believe, and they'll tell you, you're gonna die if you continue on this way? Do you think you would die, or did you still feel invincible?
No, I mean, of course, there's that level of feeling that way, but I was, you know, the rate I was going was probably not great. Gonna end up great.
Did you feel like
Wow, what an interview, you guys. What an interview.
Did you ever get close?
Yeah. Sure.
How do you manage it now? Do you go to AA meetings regularly? And
I found that those weren't as helpful for me as things like staying active and, like, you know, replacing, like, not just replacing the activity that you were doing before with stuff that's healthier, like working out, if you can afford it, going to a therapist,
Oh, that's good.
as well as, like, you know, having a good, you know, support group of friends. I have that, which is lucky, and not everybody has that. And I have supportive parents.
And you also found work that you like. I mean, you found his writing, and that's something that, you know, he likes to do, and he works with his friends doing that. So
can you be in a room?
Okay, that's the most I've seen him feel uncomfortable this whole interview. So the dad gives him that identity here, like, you're a good writer. But it almost feels like that's like too much pressure. I don't know. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, he seemed a little bit more confident, and right here, I feel like he seems more reserved. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Now where people are drinking or smoking pot
Oh,
or
well,
something, or do you consciously avoid those situations?
No, I want to be there when they're doing that, because I don't want to feel alienated, like I'm some, you know, special case, or I don't want to feel any different or alienated. I just want to be part of the crew again, you know, and just not do that other stuff.
Nick, what do you do when that little voice comes in and says, yeah, let's do something, let's use or something? How do you get over that?
Did anybody else catch that with his eyes, that he just like rolled his eyes? Wait, hold on. Am I crazy? Look at it right there. I caught it right there. Hold on, let me get back a little bit.
In and says, yeah, let's do something, let's use or something. How do you get over that?
I just replay what's happened every single time when I decide to give into that voice, and it's never been good. So it's just like, if I look at it from like a mathematical standpoint, the statistics are like 0 for it going well. So
yeah.
Were you ever worried that
that
Nick
was
could
interesting.
shine poorly on your career or something like that?
No, that never crossed my mind. I mean, you know, he's my son. I love him. It doesn't matter. That he's more important than anything that could happen to me. I care more about him. He's most important, and Jake and Romy and my family, they're the most important. So
Oh, well, you guys, that is such a perfect answer for the dad to say. And I wonder how he received it.
That doesn't factor in.
What is your advice, Rob, to parents who might be in this situation with a kid that's struggling?
I think listen to your kids. Go, you know, try to spend as much time you can with your kids. Try to understand your kids, and don't punish them, because, and this is my opinion. In my opinion, the reason they're taking, whether it's drugs or alcohol or gambling, whatever they're doing it because there's a pain. There's something inside they don't feel good. They don't feel good about themselves, and they're self-medicating. So try to understand why it is they're not feeling good. Kids that don't use drugs at all, just going through teenage years, is difficult. So you have to just stay.
Oh my God, we just talked about that.
With them and try to understand as best you can. And whatever you do, don't be punitive, because I don't think that helps at all.
What worked for you that mom and dad did, and what didn't?
You know, everything. What worked is when they kind of like were like, you know what, they turned their back and they're like, you know, you got to figure it out for yourself. You're an adult now. Like, this is getting old. Like, you know, sort of not like we don't care, but just like, you know.
Wow.
Nick, if you think if dad said from the very beginning.
Did you guys just hear what he said? He literally just told us that the thing that worked for him was when the parents gave him tough love. What? Wow. So, hi, Harlot. Oh, cool. Look at all the people in here. Thank you, guys. Please hit subscribe and like if you haven't already. That would be so appreciated. Wow, that was amazing.
Love you. I'm sorry.
We have to hear that part over.
It seems to be in terrible pain.
I have to hear that over.
Sort of not like we don't care, but just like, you know, I don't know.
Nick, if you think if dad said from the very beginning, God, I love you. I'm so you. I think you.
Did I?
Kind of like we're like, you know what? They turn their back and
Oh,
they're
here
like,
we go.
Because I don't think that helps at all.
Here we go.
What worked for you that mom and dad did and what didn't?
you know, everything. What worked is when they kind of like were like, you know what? They turn their back and they're like, you know, you got to figure it out for yourself. You're an adult now. Like this is getting old. Like, you know, sort of not like we don't care, but just like, you know.
Nick, if dad
Wow.
said from the very beginning, God, I love you. I'm so you. I think it seems to be in terrible pain, and I hope you work it out. No, I always love you. And do you think you would have, instead of any, it would have been a shorter journey? Maybe
No.
not 18 rehabs. You might have gotten there quicker, or no?
I think it needed to happen the way it happened. I was a real like nutcase. I was crazy, and I just it was more than drugs. It's really always about more than that, and I needed a lot of that sort of discipline. It's you know, it's life. Life goes on. Life happens. Things flare up.
Life. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not. It's you know, the movie doesn't. It's not happily ever after the movie, but it is hopeful that you know, that Charlie's moving in a good direction. That the father is starting to understand Charlie a little bit better. And I think it's you know, it's like Nick says, it's a process. It goes on, and you know, you live your life.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing.
What a great interview, you guys. Wow. I am so glad we watched that. That was an amazing interview. So what do you guys think over here? Well, mental illness, let's see. Mental illness and drugs seem to go together. I saw the mental illness and my son Michael when he turned 16. It does. And I think the dad here hits it right on the nail right on the head when he says, like, people use to self-medicate. So we usually start using, like somebody start using for one reason and then continue for another. So they may start, like I was saying about my cousin, he may have started because he was with all of his friends. And I'm not saying like, oh, I do what my friends do, but like literally him and his friends were like, oh, let's all do this. And everybody was like excited. And like I said, most of the people went home and they still have a great story about that weekend. But for my cousin, it was the event that turned on his schizophrenia, which he's been dealing with now ever since. So it was literally the outside thing that turned on that gene for him. He's telling you exactly, Army Vet, A for you. Good job. Thank you so much, Jay. My daughter just came down to let the dogs back in because Thor's barking at something, because Thor loves to bark. Thor gets mad at me, you guys, at like, I noticed Harlot. I don't know why I said Harlot, but just remind me, I feel like Harlot, like, and everybody loves Thor, but around 12:15 is when Thor starts to get really, really like barky. And he's literally like jealous. He like wants to go up and he wants me to come. Does anybody else's dog do that? Am I like crazy? Am I just making that up in my head? Because I'm like, there's no way. This has to be a pattern. All right, let's see. Is there something we can do to change laws to protect? Oh, I love that idea, Steph. To protect families. Many families are held hostage in their own home by mental illness or addiction in their home. There's currently no protection for families. This is a problem, right? There's like so many like freedoms and privacy laws. I have to be honest, I don't feel optimistic about that. I mean, maybe at the local level, it's always something you could look into. Why not? I mean, at the local level, especially around an election season, you could try. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. Go bring it to like the local council. And then that's how it starts, right? You just need one local, municipality to change the laws. And then the next one might follow. And then the next one, and then next thing you know, their laws are changed. So Steph, I think you're onto something. I think it's a great idea. One of Tom Hanks' son was on the Surreal Life and talked about his sobriety and his issues in that life, that his parents sent him to some camp to fix him, and it was terrible. You know what else I think of there, Cassie? What about Ruby, Frankie's son? I know that it wasn't, I guess that would be different. It's not about addiction, but even there, like it's about parenting, that like a parent thinks that tough love is the way to go. But this is the thing. He just told us in that interview that that's what helped him. So do you know what I mean? Like, but the dad, I feel like the dad's lesson in that interview was that you shouldn't be punitive. But then the kid winds up like countering that by saying that being hard on him was the thing that helped. What did you guys think about that? That was so interesting. Good interview. People self-medicate and numb the pain 100%. Yep. Yes, thank you everyone for being here and for sharing in this conversation. You guys are so brave. I can't even tell you. I wasn't even planned, like tonight was not a planned live. It was very spur of the moment, but I'm so glad that I did it. Thank you, Justin, for suggesting it. I'm worried if the rehab is for profit, they don't actually help the person they want. This is the thing, Whitney. Where I'm at in Pennsylvania and I work in New Jersey, like I'm like in that tri-state area, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And what I've noticed here is there's so much loss and so many people know someone. Like I bet everyone on here, including you, either has someone in their life right now or someone in the past or, you know, whatever, knows someone close that is dealing with drugs and alcohol. So we have to also believe that the people that are working in these rehab facilities also have friends and loved ones who've been touched by addiction. So hopefully I would hope that that wouldn't be true, and that because there are such great rehabs, at least where I'm at, like in the New Jersey, PA area. I don't know if it's like that everywhere. I know Florida has pretty good ones. Florida's like the rehab capital. But seriously, think about it. If you're going to be in rehab, what a better place than to like be where you could look out at the ocean. Like, I get it. But there are some really good rehabs out there. So I would say the revolving door, unfortunately, there's not a lot of beds all the time. So there's a lot of like rules and regulations. So there's like certain rehabs where you have to like do certain things. Like, again, they're not saying that we're not going to take you, but if they don't have a bed or a bed opens up, there's just so many rules and regulations. We have halfway houses, which I'm sure everybody has them. Then there's rules and regulations there. So, but a lot of times boundaries are needed for people for all humans. Let me say that boundaries are needed for humans, period. No matter what, healthy boundaries are good. Leave Thor alone. Thor would love to hear you say that. Maybe he sees a ghost. Whitney, unless the ghost comes at the same time, I think he literally just wants my attention. It's the weirdest thing. When I go upstairs to go lay down, and he's literally taller than me. It's weird. And I have another dog. So we go upstairs and Allie goes to her bed and Thor's got a bed right on the other side. It's like on my side, but he's got to jump up on the bed and he'll like go in front of me and just plop down in front of me and like almost like we're spooning and I'm the big spoon. I'm like, what are you doing? And like he'll like turn his head over and try to lick me. And I'm like, oh my God, like what's happening? And he just wants you to like pay attention for a few minutes. And then he gets up and goes to his bed. But I think he's like, he's like, all right, enough, bitch. Like, let's go. So I'm going to have to like change his schedule a little bit so that he could give me a little bit more time. He's awesome. I love Thor. He is telling me it's bedtime. I am going to end this soon. This was amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here. I can't even tell you. Thor, come here, buddy. Come here. See, look, he's like, you're going to pay attention? Okay. He's like, pay attention to me. Look, come here, Thor. Thor, come here. Show everybody your bow tie. Come here, buddy. Look. Show them your bow tie. Say hello. He's like, what's happening? Thor, look. Look, Dorothy. Look, you got a bow tie. Say hi. Look, Dorothy, love you. Say hi to them. He's like, what's happening right now? I love my dog. He's so cute. He's going to paw me in a minute. Like, don't stop petting me. What's happening? You guys were amazing. I really appreciate all of you being here. Let's see what else we have here. Yes, he does want me to go cuddle him. Look, he's trying to like give me kisses over here. Look, he puts his nose under my hand and he tries to like push my hand on his head to pet him. The doctor put me on a lot of meds for chronic problems and it caused addiction. This is the thing, right, Linda? So thank you for sharing that. And that's how it usually happens, right? The problem is there are people out there whose life is better by taking something. And the thing is, if they could take it as prescribed and it makes them be a successful member of society. So let me just tell you what I'm talking about. I have another friend. She unfortunately passed away from a seizure. Complications of MS, but she had MS really bad. She was like in the wheelchair, everything, and she was in pain all the time. So she like eventually had to like use she had to use a catheter to go to the bathroom and stuff every day. It was like terrible. She couldn't walk, like she lost all of her like muscle tone. But anyway, she took, look at the, she took, oh my God, you guys, he huff and stuffs me. He's so cute. She would take 4 or 5 milligram or 5 milligram Percocets a day. And she did this for like 15 years. And I wouldn't have changed that for anything. She never asked for more. She never abused it. Like it would take, like, she didn't always fill it every, 4 weeks. Sometimes she would be like, oh, I forgot to get my medicine. Like I need to go get it or they're going to put it back. So like, so I guess for some people, if it makes their life better, who am I to say, you know what I mean? But for most people, unfortunately, and the thing is that they like, nobody really knew in the beginning how dangerous it was. And I don't know, has anybody ever watched, what's the documentary about, oh my God, what's their name? The Purdue family? Is that what it is? No, what is it? Is that right? What's their names, you guys? Oh my God, Thor's literally like torturing me. So there you go, benzos, perfect one. So I know a lot of people, that's a great example. I know plenty of people that take benzos as prescribed, right? I take Adderall, you guys. I have ADHD. I have to take Adderall during the week when I work for sure. Like it takes everything by the time I get to this point of the night. Stay focused. So I use, and you can't be on medicine 24/7. So it only works for so many hours after you take it. So if you're only taking it like twice a day, it's only working for like 6-8 hours a day. So the other hours I have to use like behavioral techniques instead of that. And I could do that. That's fine. And I've been on the same dose for years. I've never had to go up, stuff like that. And I've been able to take it. And there's so many times that I don't take it because I forget. And what winds up happening is I just wind up annoying everybody. So my students, the one day my one student was like, oh my gosh, they're like, Dr. Vona, your ADHD is like off the charts today. And I started laughing and I was like, oh my God, I thought about it. And I'm like, I didn't take my medicine. So I do forget to take it, but I think that's part of ADHD. Okay, Cuffy, thank you for, really, Cuffy? Look at you, girl. Wow, you get the bars, right? I know what I'm talking about over here. Well, I'm also in mental health, but there are plenty of people. I have plenty of friends that take Xanax every single day or as needed. So some people take it as needed. So again, I don't judge anybody here on this channel. I know that a lot of you are weed smokers out there. I am cool with it all. I'm not judging. And thank you all for sharing. If I don't take my antidepressant every day, I can't do things at normal. Say, driving makes me so anxious. There you go. Thank you so much, Cassie, for staying on it and for realizing that it's what's making your life better. I wonder, I don't know if you care to share. Since you shared this, I'm sure you wouldn't mind, but was there ever a time that you got off of it because you were just like, oh, it's like, I just went through something, like, it's not the medicine that's making me feel better. I don't know if you mind sharing that, but it's so common. It's actually uncommon for people to just get on it and just stay on it forever and just be, not forever, but for as long as they need it and be like, oh, it's the medicine that's helping me. It's usually not until they have a few like cycles, if you will, where they feel bad after they stop it, that they start to associate or accept the fact that it's the medicine helping. So that's amazing that you are still on it and that you take it and that you know that you need it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I tell people all the time, if you had, I don't know, if you had another disease or disorder in the body, you would be taking a medicine for that. And not one person would like think anything of it. They would just be like, oh, you take cholesterol medicine? Like, okay, you take your, nobody thinks anything of it. So that it should be the same way with an antidepressant and things like that, right? We need to treat the brain the same way that we do the body and destigmatize the use of medication. Like, it is what it is. I'm somebody with ADHD, that's mental illness, and I take medicine. So just know that you are in good company. And I have my doctorate degree. So that just goes to show you that you could be a very productive member of society. But this is the thing. Unfortunately, for some people with the gene for addiction, they wouldn't be able to take what I take to make me a productive member of society. So that's not lost on me. So for somebody else, taking what I take could trigger a full-blown math addiction, right? So, or anything in that realm of a stimulant. So, and the same thing for other things. So I guess it really is person to person. The thing is that addiction affects a lot less of us, believe it or not, biologically than others. So, but many, there's about, it's a little under like, I think it's like 7% of the population has the gene for addiction, but then it takes something from the outside environment to turn that gene on. Again, that could be anything from getting high with your friends one time to somebody passing away to losing your job. Any big life stressor or like life event that is traumatic can be the thing that turns on that addiction for somebody. Same thing with mental illness. Most of the different diagnoses, so many of your, now this is the thing, I don't know how old people are here, but my analytics say that most of the people that are subscribed anyway, or even I think it is people that watch me are mostly the age of 40, I think it's 45 and older. So you guys are like my age, I'm 47. And I don't know if we have anybody here younger. If you're younger, what I'm finding is like my students and my daughters, their parents, so our generations are more accepting of mental health and therapy and stuff like that. So hopefully this stigma is starting to subside a little bit in this next generations, because us parents are like cool with it, if you will. Where like my mom, if you tried to tell my mom that she like needed to like go to, like she would be like, she would look at me like I'm an asshole, you know what I mean? Like, who are you? And so I would never even suggest it. I'd just mind my business with that. But think about it. How many people in your family are not diagnosed with something, but you notice similarities in, let's say, yourself, or let's say you have a daughter or somebody that, you know, you notice, you're like, wow, they're so much alike. And yeah, there's so many people undiagnosed in your family is what I'm getting at. So good for you if you've been able to be the one that is smart enough to get the help needed to live your best life. How about that? And hopefully we stop this in future generations so that people can get the help that they need. You guys have been an amazing audience tonight. I can't even tell you. My dad died from kidney cancer, but for some reason, it made me have issues with driving. I was fine before he passed, but the reality of how quick we can be gone. Cassie, that's amazing that you had the insight to put the reality of how quick we could be gone, right? Because on a bridge, a lot of times people fear going over a bridge because it makes them feel like they're out of control, because God forbid the bridge cracked, or like, because we tend to catastrophize, right? So we never say like, so, or what if we slip and we go right off the side, or, you know, we tend to catastrophize. And when you're feeling, when somebody in your life dies that's very close to you, the grieving process often makes you feel very out of control, because you don't feel like you can control you feel like you're very down, like you can't control it in the moment, things like that. So you already feel very out of control. So going over a bridge, which is already feeling out of control for a lot of people, mixing that with the loss of someone, which also feels out of control, makes total sense of why you have a fear of driving after the loss of a loved one. So don't think, even though those two things are like, these two things are unrelated. They're not. Obviously, you know that. But if somebody else is thinking, like, how are the two things related? It's more about that underlying thing. So I would say that's a symptom. So the loss of somebody is one symptom. Not wanting to drive over the bridge is the other symptom. The diagnoses here, if you will, would be the feeling of control and not having control in that moment. So we would, maybe working on something that makes you feel in control in a part of your life that it is easier to feel in control. So maybe picking out certain things like, I don't know, going and get your nails done and picking out the design you want, but little things that make you feel in control in your life, and then you build up, and hopefully someday you drive over the bridge again. Because the best way to get through our anxiety, you guys, is to face them. Think about it. Once you drive over the bridge, one of two things usually happens. One, you're either like, I could do it. Or two, you're like, I never want to do it again. But either way, if you can do it. Most of the time, it's the first thing where we feel like, oh, well, like that wasn't as bad as I thought. And even if you put it in your head that you're doing it so that you can have a new memory when it comes, so you're not tying something phobic, if you will, or anxiety driven. That would be like a specific type phobia. I guess it depends on how debilitating it is. I really don't know, which is why I can't ever like give that type of advice. But I'm just saying, from what we know, one of the best things you could do for it is to try and face it. Maybe walking over a bridge first might help. With somebody, of course, with support. Don't do it by yourself. And if you could get like a therapist or someone like that to walk with you, that would be even better, because they would be able to help you employ techniques that they teach you beforehand while you're feeling anxiety, so that you could, a big part of it is challenging your thought process. So they can help you challenge your thought process before you do it, so that during it, when that anxiety comes up, they remind you of the things that you went through beforehand, and that makes you more likely to be able to employ those tools and get through it. And then when we get through it, we're like, we did that. You know what I mean? Like, we got this. So I tell everyone, if there's something that you're feeling anxious about, try to figure out where it's coming from, and then see if there's a way that you can heal from that by, like, tying a new memory with the loss. Because eventually, and this isn't with every loss, but with many losses, eventually we get to a place where we smile when we think of the person instead of cry, right? So eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to switch that to something different, like being able to get across the bridge. Anxiety is a future emotion, you guys. Anxiety is a normal emotion. We need anxiety. If it wasn't for anxiety, we wouldn't have cures for diseases and stuff like that, right? So anxiety is a must. It's when anxiety becomes disproportionate to the situation and starts to interfere with at least two areas of daily functioning, that it becomes abnormal. So I would say this to you. Anxiety is a future emotion. It's about something that hasn't happened yet. Try to get yourself to the place of where you experience in a healthy way that fear with the right tools, right? With the right tools, so with the help needed, so that you can get rid of that anxiety. Because the truth is, once you feel the anxiety, or once you do the thing, the anxiety often goes away, because you've felt the thing. So you're not anticipating something in the future anymore because you did it. It's a bit different. I don't know exactly what we're talking about. But therapy is needed for that. So I'm not just saying, like, go out tomorrow and walk across a bridge. Like, I hope that's not what anybody got from that. What I'm saying is, get the support needed and the tools needed, so that maybe someday that can be a thing. Yeah, PTSD aren't like panic attacks. You're right, but I would never want somebody with PTSD, including you, to think that with the right tools that you couldn't help yourself from feeling like you're out of control in any given moment. And that would be the win there, truth. Your brain does flip into fight or flight, but there are ways to systematically desensitize your brain and to retrain your brain. But it takes a lot of work. And again, it might not ever get to the way that it was before, nor should it, right? You might always be hyper vigilant and things like that, but there are tools that can help you challenge your thought process in that moment. Just like, you know, PTSD is a horrific thing. It really is. PTSD does suck. I agree with that. You know what I mean? But again, you guys, this is coming from somebody that has documented mental illness, if you will. I've gone through depression and stuff. I had an eating disorder. I had all the things, right? Not all the things. I'm just kidding when I say that. I try to find light in things. But if I didn't have those things and get through, you know, most of them, ADHD is different in that it triggers the brain in a way that is more biological than anything. So I can learn to live with it, right? And I've learned how to try to make it my superpower. So I use it as something that helps drive me to get things done that I need to get done. And in doing that, I kind of rationalize and accept the fact that it's something that I have to live with. And I guess that's what I'm saying about PTSD, is that it might not be something that you can just erase, right? It's not something like that. You're always going to have that thing, but it's about learning the tools so that you can use it more as not a superpower in every sense. For some people, some people might go to school and get, you know, become a counselor or just talk to their neighbor who's going through it. There's so many ways you could be a hero in your own story. But the point is be the author of your story, and don't ever let someone else define who you are. Because in the absence of you telling somebody who you are, you will be defined. It's unfortunate, but it happens. I promise you. And just think about it. Think about somebody that you've just thought in your head, like, oh, wow, like I prejudged them, or I definitely didn't think that that person was, you know, da, da, da. And we do it in the opposite way too. And I would say this, when you are misidentified, make sure you correct it respectfully, but correct it, because you don't want someone else to define who you are. Nah, I mean, Jelly Bean. I would live to see more lives on this subject. Kelly, our topics always go back to mental health because, let's be honest, that's what I'm best at. So I also have to be honest. I think Cuff, you said it earlier, and I hope you don't mind me like sharing this, Cuff, you, but Cuff, you said something along the lines of, and don't quote me, that when you're just learning about like mental health, like, so let's just say I started a mental health channel, I'd be less likely to get people to view my mental health channel, because just talking about mental health alone, a lot of people don't search for that, right? Because think about it too, a lot of times you hit places that are hard in the moment, and we're not always sitting down to watch TV to hit hard and, you know, feel something. So by doing something like true crime and psychology, I'm able to bring to light these topics in a way that we're already fascinated about. So it's already, you know, bringing home a phenomenon using the things that I'm best at. Does that make any sense? Can vitamins help? I think so. So this is the thing though, can vitamins help with what? Because I do believe that if you get good vitamins, and I'm not sponsored by anyone, but I truly believe in this one brand called Life Extensions. My psychiatrist, he's like the smartest person in the world, and he like swears by them. But it's just like a multivitamin. It's like $10 for a bottle of 60. It says 2 a day, but I'm like, bitch, I'm taking 1 a day. I'm not spending that. So 1 a day is fine. Again, I'm not the doctor on that, but I'm just saying, for me, it's okay. But so what does that help with? It helps with my overall immune system, my ability to like, it really does help. Like I notice when I don't take them, I'm more tired and stuff like that. So I truly believe it helps. And could part of it be the placebo effect? So just meaning that it's just in my head? Sure. But it whatever works, right? But I do believe that it does help me biologically as well. It definitely does. And so you could say that can then help with mental health. But I wouldn't say that like a St. John's wort type thing. I would say go see a psychiatrist or, some sort of doctor and talk to them about that first, because there's other downfalls to like specific things like that. And I don't know how helpful they would be just for mental health. Vitamin D. You should take vitamin D regardless. Yes, so vitamin D, you guys, that's a good one. So vitamin D, many of us, more than half of us are vitamin D deficient. So, and it's like a simple blood test. Like you could get your primary care physician. Oh my God, he's telling you, Army vet, do you know that you've been up there for a minute and I had no idea? That's so funny. I don't even know what that was about. But anyway, I don't mind having you up there, Army vet. But with vitamin D, most of us are vitamin D deficient. And again, you can get a simple blood test, but taking vitamin D is actually very important, especially during the winter months. We see more SAD, so seasonal affective disorder. Most people take their own lives in the month of March. So it's usually the month when we start coming around, like, so when the sun starts to come back out and we start to feel a little bit warmer. I'm wondering if like changes in climate's going to move it more till April. I wonder what the research says about that. I'll have to look it up when it gets closer. But one of the things you can do to help combat that is take vitamin D. So yes, vitamin D is one of the ones that I would take, but I wouldn't say that by taking vitamin D, if you're depressed, that you would feel better. However, I would say that taking vitamin D can aid in you feeling better. Does that make sense? You could get vitamin D in a multi too. All right, let's see. All right, you guys, I said I was going to hang up a million times, but now there's like 70 people in here. Zach, what the frig's up? Zach said, if I have a child and he deals with addiction, I will stand by him. Zach, you're so cute. That's right, as we should, or as I think we should. It's hard, I'm sure, and I hope I never have to go through that. This is another thing. We need to teach kids that if you stay off drugs until you're 21, your chances of becoming addicted decrease. It doesn't go away, but it decreases. And then by 24, when our prefrontal cortex is developed, it decreases even more. Again, it doesn't go away, but it decreases even more. So part of it is like I tell my kids, I'm like, they'll talk to me about pot and stuff. And I'm like, just try and like hold off. You know what I mean? And I don't think that pot, I think it's just as much of a gateway drug as alcohol is, as far as, and gateway, I'm being like facetious a little bit. I think that it's more about genetics and environment than like environment, meaning taking the substance and turning that gene on rather, than anything. So that's my opinion personally. Omega-3 is so good for you. Yes, it is. Anyway, see, my ADHD is off the hook right now because I have no idea what the hell my point was. Oh, Zach, and being so cute and saying that he'd stand by his kid. That's very good. But I don't remember where I was going with that. See? I'm losing it now. All right, you guys. So with that being said, thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate you guys so much. Tomorrow evening, if Mark the Shark, he was live yesterday or whatever, and he was talking about the D4VD case, and they found like an incinerator and stuff in the house. So he wanted to ask me questions about that because he really deep dived it. So I told him, I'm like, oh, maybe Thursday. Oh, the sharks are here. Shut up. Hey. Oh, I love the sharks. So I said on his live the other day, well, Thursday, if you want to ask me questions, like, let's do it. So let's see what happens. And Zach, I am done 2 of my schools. I have 1 more, 3 of my schools. I have 1 more that I have to do finals for, but I gave them till tonight at midnight. So by the end of this weekend, I'll be done this one too. And then I'll be off for a minute. So we'll definitely do something. You just have to get me like during a live and just make a date with me, because once I make a date, I always follow through. Like I never cancel. I'll show up sick. I'll show up dead. I tell my students, I'm like, if I'm not here, call the hospital. because I'm probably dead if I didn't contact you and I'm not here. Hey, Justice Jane, Mima, we're about to hang up. You guys, I can't even tell you how appreciative I am. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer before we hang up? Let me know. Let's see. You're a rock star. Great live, Doc. Oh, I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming here. I'm so glad that I went over to the other live over to, and thank you to Justin for suggesting that. Sadly, I lost my best friend at 18. I didn't even know he was using. Isn't that so sad, Zach? I'm sorry to hear that. And I think a lot of us have lost someone, and I think that's what brings us to true crime. And I think that was another thing that draws me to true crime, other than the fact that I've always been interested in my whole life. I think for a lot of reasons, but that's for a different live, I guess. You saw me on Justin's live, Kelly, right? We were talking over there. That's what I mean. Thank you, Justin. That's what I was saying. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin. That was so kind of you. He suggested I go live. And that's why I look like a mess like I do, because I was doing laundry and I almost said folding gifts. That's how tired I am right now. I was wrapping gifts and folding tails. And he was like, why don't you go live? Because I said I wasn't tired yet. And I was like, that sounds amazing. And then I looked in the mirror and was like, oh my gosh, girl, what is happening? But it's okay. I still came. It's 1 a.m. here. I just got my Christmas lights up outside today. It's been a hard week. Cassie, I hope you have a better week, and I hope that you find joy around this time of year. I love that. This was like an amazing live. I really like this live. And so I thank you guys for being here. I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys tonight, like Deb and Kelly and all the people that came over here. Hi, TJ's mom, Whitney, all of you guys. Thank you so much. And also, I don't want to forget Deborah, one of our newest, we put the fun in dysfunctional. So one of our newest family members. Then we have Laura. What's up, Laura? And then we have Kim. So welcome, you guys. If anybody wants to join, I make sure I keep it inexpensive. So it's $1.99. So hopefully, and I always tell people, if for some reason you can't afford it right now, contact me and I will fucking figure it out. Okay? Even if I have to Venmo you the $2, so you can be part of it. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here and for being a support system for me. And I hope I provide one for you. And that's the whole point of this channel. So if this is what you're about, please subscribe and maybe share this or like it so that it goes on more people's pages and they could see it too. You never know who we might help out there. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you being so brave and sharing your stories. And I promise you, somebody out there tonight or tomorrow night or in a week or a month is going to watch this. And I keep the chat so they'll read the chat maybe and feel, you know, like they're not alone. So I appreciate that. And Kim and everyone, I am so praying for you. I just said Kim, I meant Cassie. I'm praying for you, and Kelly, I'm praying for you. And Kelly is who I think with their daughter. Yes, I pray for you. So keep us all in touch, and thank you all for being here, and please look out for me. I'm usually live around like, you know, 9-ish. Sometimes I go live a little bit later. So, and if you miss me, maybe check me out on the replay. That's good too. I appreciate that just as much. Thank you guys. Mwah. Good night.